If you were thinking about selling your current home and buying a new one in this market, this video is for you. I'm going to show you the most common expensive mistakes that buyers make when selling and buying at the same time. I'm going to show you how the timing works, what the data says, and the sequencing of events that you need to take to make sure you're not stuck in a trap. Because here's the truth, buying and selling simultaneously is not the same transaction twice. It's two completely different transactions, right? You're going to have two different offers, negotiations, inspections, appraisals, lender, title, everything's going to happen twice. And if you don't have a plan, you're going to get trapped, you're going to lose a lot of money, and you're going to be very frustrated by the time it's all said and done. So let's get into it. What does a move-up buyer actually mean? It means you're sitting in your current home, you're window shopping properties online, you find something you like that's maybe one or two extra bedrooms, a couple extra 100 square feet, bigger lot size possibly, and you say, I want that house. So you just think, hey, it's as easy as just selling mine and buying a new one, right? Not quite that easy. See, what can happen is you can end up in one of two extremes. You're either a motivated buyer with a deadline. Let's pretend you just go and put an offer on the home and you're trying to rush and purchase it. Well, now you're rushing to get your home sold and you're probably going to make a lot of bad decisions on overpaying for this one, accepting worse terms, just so you can get the dream home. And then you're rushing to sell your home. And you're probably going to end up in temporary housing because you didn't plan properly. Now, the other side of the equation is you're a seller and you sell your home before you know where you're going and you end up in, again, short-term housing. It's not the worst situation. You just want to make sure you have a plan for it. Either version, you really just don't want to be caught without a plan, right? You want to make sure that whether you're buying or selling, you're not the one who's losing negotiating power because you're on a sharp deadline that's unexpected. Now, let's talk about the equity you have in your current home, right? If you lived in your home for 10 years, you could see anywhere from 30 to 40% equity increase over the life, right? On a $250,000 home that you bought 10 years ago, that could be anywhere from $80,000 to $100,000+ that you now have in equity that you've gained just over time, not even including what you've paid down in principal, right? So when we talk about equity, we don't want to just look at what it's worth minus what you owe. You also have to look at the selling cost, right? Because selling your home is going to cost money. You're going to have to pay for representation, there's going to be negotiations, and there's going to be concessions to the buyer. What do I mean by that? I mean that in our market in South Baton Rouge, the median concessions is somewhere around $5,000 to $7,500. This means that most sellers, median, between 40 to 50% of them gave up $5,000 to $7,500 toward the buyer's closing costs, prepaids, etc., etc. Now, the other number you have to consider is how long it's going to take your home to sell. And if you sell in the first 7 days, how much you're going to get versus 90 days, right? So in our market, if you sell within the first 7 days, the numbers show you're going to get 100% of your list price. If you sell 90 plus days, you're going to lose anywhere from 3 to 4.5, maybe even 5% from the list price at that time, right? You could easily be talking about $15,000 to $20,000 that you take less because it wasn't prepared and it wasn't priced right from the beginning. Okay, we look at this in conjunction with our days on market. That tells us the speed of the market. When we're looking at pricing your home, we're looking at the value, right? We're looking at the median value, your neighborhood, what the upper and the lower limits are, what the comparables are for your home in its current condition. The worst situation is your home is not prepared well and it's not priced well. You get it on the market and you're just waiting around for an offer. And because you didn't do everything right in the strategy session, you're giving up $20,000 by the time everything is said and done. Okay, so once we know our numbers, let's talk about the 3 paths that you can follow and the pros and cons for each one. So the first one is the lowest risk profile, okay? Lowest financial risk is you sell your home first and then you purchase a new one. This is the lowest financial risk because you know exactly what you have to roll into the next home because you've already sold your home. Now, obviously the downside of this is you're likely going to be renting, right? You're probably going to be staying with family, renting a home. It's probably inconvenient, but lowest financial risk. So what is option 2? Option 2 is to buy first and then sell, right? Option 1 was selling first and buying. 2 is to buy then sell. And when you're buying, we're talking non-contingent. That means that you were scheduled to close on this home whether you sell the first one or not. So obviously the risk here is that you're going to pay 2 different mortgages at the same time. The other risk is that if you need to do a bridge loan, then you need funding for that gap, right? There are lenders that will do that. Reach out to us if you have any questions on that, right? So when this makes sense is if you find your dream home and you can't miss it, you want to make a non-contingent offer, this is the situation that you find yourself in. You have to make sure though that your home is prepared and priced well, because you do not want to be sitting on this home for 90 plus days and then taking another $10,000 to $20,000 cut. You want to make sure your home is ready to sell. That way, when you have your non-contingent offer, then you can sell quickly, you can roll that equity into the next home. Okay, so path 3 is a contingent offer. This means that you are making your offer on the new home contingent on the sale of your current one, right? So this lowers your financial risk in that you're not going to end up with 2 mortgages, right? You're not going to close on this one till you sell that one. Now, the drawback here is that it's a lower offer, right? Some sellers don't want to take this. They don't want to have that. So that has changed recently though, because the market shifted, right? Buyers have a little bit more leverage. We've seen month supply go back up, right? We were as low as maybe 2.5 to 2.9 months during peak COVID. That's climbed up to somewhere between 4 and 6 months, depending on your zip code. So all that to say is that if you have a little more leverage and it helps to know your numbers in the area you're going to move into, you can maybe make a contingent offer to hedge your risk a little bit. Now, the drawback on contingent offers is normally there's like a kick-out period, right? So let's say you're under contract on this other home, it's contingent. Well, the sellers normally have a clause that says, hey, if we get another acceptable offer, we're going to give you 2 to 3 days, right, to remove the contingency on your offer and close, right? So that means that you make an offer on the home, they accept it, and then they get another offer. Well, you then have 2 or 3 days to say, all right, we are in, we're going to close on this house, whether I sell mine or not. Hopefully that makes sense. Again, a lot of this goes back to just being prepared, being priced right, so you can sell your home quickly and roll that equity into the new one. None of these paths is universally right? It depends on your risk tolerance, the negotiating leverage between your home, the home you're trying to get into, what that neighborhood looks like. But ultimately it comes down to being prepared, being priced right, knowing your situation. And when we talk about being prepared and being priced right, if you sell your home within the first 7 days, the median numbers for our market said you're going to keep 100% of your list price. All right, so if you're on the market, the first 7 days you get an offer, statistically, it's going to be for full asking price. It's going to be a pretty solid offer. So you know you can roll that equity into the next one. However, if you don't price it right and you sit on the market for 90 days, you're typically shown to lose anywhere between 3 to 4.5%. That could be up to $20,000 depending on the price point of your home. Right? That's a significant chunk. Do not leave that money on the table by overpricing it when you could have priced it right from day one and had your home under contract in 7 days. So being a move-up buyer is not complicated, but it does require planning. It requires sequencing, right? You have to know your risk tolerance. You have to know both markets, the one you're selling, the one you're buying, and you want to make sure you have a plan. You want to make sure your home is prepared and priced well, so that way you're selling in the first 7 days, or at least in that earlier part of the days on market, and you're not waiting 90 plus days and taking a $15,000, $20,000 haircut at closing. See, the buyers that win in this market are those that are prepared. They have professional representation that's guiding them. They know their numbers. They know the strength of their offer, and they can win. So before you list your home, before you tour a property, let me show you your move-up number, right? Let me show you your net proceeds minus what your purchasing power is and the market dynamics both in your market and where you want to go. We'll put a plan together. It's about a 30-minute call, and it's no obligation, right? You get to keep the analysis whether you work with me or not. So it's no risk to you, 30 minutes of your time. Book that today.